good narcotics agents must know and love narcotics.
Officers Mack and Perez were convicted for unrelated crimes. Mack for bank robbery, Perez for stealing cocaine and other serious felonies.
You gotta decide whether you're a wolf or a sheep.
Rafael Perez was a LAPD narcotics officer who became the focal point of the Rampart scandal. This was widespread corruption throughout the LAPD's anti-gang unit during the late 1990s. Rafael Perez became a government witness for his crimes connected to the corruption. Denzel Washington, for his role in a 2001 movie Training Day, claimed he emulated Rafael Perez to bring about the likeness of a corrupt LAPD cop. Investigations carried out by the FBI and Internal Affairs of the LAPD revealed Rafael Perez may have been connected to the murder of rap star Biggie Smalls. In this video, we will take a look into the case of Rafael Perez and how he inspired the 2001 movie Training Day. With that being said, let's get into it. Rafael Perez is a Puerto Rican national who is a former police officer with the LAPD in Los Angeles. Perez graduated from high school in 1985 and enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. He was hired by the LAPD after leaving the military in 1989. Prior to this, he had been rejected by agencies in California due to acting gang-like. Once in the LAPD, Rafael Perez began by serving on routine patrol duties. By 1992, Perez was transferred to a narcotics unit. In 1995, Perez was transferred to the Rampart Division and assigned to Crash, an anti-gang unit. The Rampart Division serves communities in the west of downtown Los Angeles. The division formed the Community Resources Against Street Hoodlums, which is known as Crash. This was an anti-gang unit. However, it soon became known that many of the officers may have been tied into the gangs they were assigned to control. Perez gained a reputation as a tough and effective officer. He was valued for his fluency in Spanish and his knowledge of the LA gangs. It was later found out that Perez was rumored to have been a blood gang member. While serving as a LAPD officer, Perez was involved in numerous crimes and corruption. This involved the shooting and framing of Javier Ovando, a gang member who was falsely imprisoned to 27 years under false testimony given by Perez. In addition to this, Perez was connected to the crime of theft and resale of at least $800,000 worth of cocaine from the LAPD evidence locker. Once Rafael Perez was caught, he became a government informant and implicated over 70 LAPD officers in one of the most widespread police corruption cases in history, which became known as the Rampart Scandal. The Rampart Scandal concerned widespread police corruption in the Crash anti-gang unit of the LAPD's Rampart Division in the late 1990s. More than 70 police officers assigned to or associated with the Rampart Crash unit were implicated in some form of misconduct. The scandal became one of the most widespread cases of documented police corruption in United States history. The officers involved were responsible for a long list of offences which included false testimony for false imprisonment, planting of false evidence, unprovoked shootings, stealing drugs from evidence lockers and dealing them, covering up for these crimes, and many other acts of corruption. The officers involved got tattoos of the Rampart logo to illustrate who was part of the gang. The Rampart investigation began in 1999 after Rafael Perez was arrested the year previous. On August 25, 1998, Perez was arrested for stealing 2.7 kilograms of cocaine from a department property room. His December 1998 trial ended as a mistrial. To avoid a second trial and a possible conviction of his second wife, on September 8, 1999, he agreed to a plea bargain with authorities. In his plea bargain, he revealed the Rampart scandal in exchange for immunity. Rafael Perez initially implicated over 70 officers in wrongdoing. Of those officers, there was enough evidence found to bring 58 before an internal administrative board. It cost the city of Los Angeles $125 million in settlement. The investigation revealed that crooked LAPD cops may have had a connection to one of the biggest rap labels of the 1990s, Death Row Records. Death Row Records was an American record label founded in 1992 by Suge Knight, Dr. Dre, and others. The record label became one of the largest providers of gangster rap music during the 1990s and has been reported to have been pulling in a revenue of over $750 million, which in today's standards is $1.2 billion. Death Row Records had notable artists such as Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Tupac. Between 1993 to 1994, Suge Knight got in touch with Compton LAPD officer Reggie Wright Jr. He was son to Reggie Wright Sr., who was the head of Compton's gang division. Suge Knight gave Reggie Wright Jr. $300,000 to start Right Way's protective services. This was a security service supplying security for death row and its artists. Suge Knight advised Reggie Wright to hire police officers as security. To this day, Reggie Wright Jr. has claimed the only officer he had officially working for death row was Richard McCauley. However, Reggie Wright Jr. also claimed on the 2017 TV show Who Shot Biggie and Tupac that he had up to 30 police officers working for him, claiming it was like having a police department of his own. An interdepartmental memorandum signed by Deputy Chief David Gaston claimed Officer Richard McCauley was the only officer who applied for a work permit under Death Row Security Right-Way Protective Services. This meant it was only this officer who was officially down on paper as working for Death Row. An investigation carried out by LAPD detective Russell Paul revealed the protection service started to hire LAPD cops unofficially to work for $75 an hour. Reggie Wright Jr. has denied these claims many times. Kevin Gaines was a LAPD cop who was Snoop Dogg's bodyguard. He was also dating Suge Knight's ex Sharifa Knight, who was Snoop Dogg's manager. The cops became known as associates of Death Row. They were known as associates as they were never down on paper as working for Death Row. Russell Paul's findings claim that the associates were allegedly assisting people within or connected to Death Row Records in drug trafficking by intercepting police radios, escorting them on pickups and drop-offs, and by giving them suitable locations to make meets. A police report by LAPD detective Russell Paul claimed that Kevin Gaines was allegedly helping out with the drug activity. The names which commonly come up connecting to this case are LAPD cops Kevin Gaines, Rafael Perez, and David Mack. In a prison interview with Suge Knight released in 2020, Suge claimed Rafael Perez was implicated in the murder of Tupac Shakur, as they were also allegedly trying to kill Suge Knight as well. On September 7th, 1996, Tupac, Suge Knight and Death Row traveled to Las Vegas. They went to Las Vegas to watch a boxing match at the MGM Grand between Mike Tyson and Bruce Seldon, and also to go to Club 662 so Tupac could perform. While in Las Vegas, the security met with Reggie Wright Jr. at attorney for Club 662, George Calise's home. Some of the security guards were Frank Alexander and Michael Moore, who were under Right-Way's protective services. While there, Reggie Wright Jr. told the security team not to carry their weapons while guarding Tupac and was told to leave their weapons in a car. Frank Alexander claimed this was the first time Reggie Wright Jr. had ever told him not to carry his weapon. Reggie Wright Jr. claimed he told the security not to carry their guns while in the club. However, this becomes a contradiction as Michael Moore, who was assigned to Tupac, refused to give up his weapon, so he was removed from Tupac and was told to stay with Reggie Wright Jr. at Club 662. Between the security, there were 5 Nextel radios which they used to communicate. Frank Alexander, who had been assigned to Tupac, had his radio removed from him by Kevin Hackey prior to the trip. Kevin Hackey was an undercover FBI agent acting as a bodyguard who was also the former police partner of Reggie Wright Jr. Bodyguard Michael Moore also didn't have his radio. After watching the fight, Tupac and Suge Knight traveled to Club 662. At 11:15 p.m. while stopped at a red light on East Flamingo Road and Colville Lane, a white 4-door late model Cadillac pulled up to the right side of the BMW Tupac and Suge Knight were traveling in. Someone inside rapidly fired a Glock into the BMW. Tupac was hit 4 times and Suge Knight was hit in the head. Michael Moore, the bodyguard who refused to give over his weapon and was at Club 662 with Reggie Wright Jr., claimed over Reggie Wright's radio, which the security used, he heard the words, "Got him." He then claimed to have heard another voice say, "Don't say anything over the radio."
I was working at 662. I heard something over the Nextels that we all carry for security. And what I heard was, God. Right before me and Mr. Wright got in the vehicle to go get to the hospital, someone else came on the radio and said, "Hey, don't say nothing over the radio."
Suge Knight, during a prison interview released in 2020 done with Michael Carlin, revealed that he believes Rafael Perez was involved in the Tupac shooting and it was an attempt to also kill Suge Knight to take over the almost billion-dollar company.
Perez was all involved. They were trying to kill me too, because Perez and Reggie were good friends, and Perez and Sarita and Reggie's great friends, and so all those three together were trying to plot.
At the time of Tupac's shooting, Kevin Gaines was on a special assignment in Las Vegas. Excluding Tupac's mother and family, Gaines was one of the last people to visit Tupac in hospital while bodyguarding Snoop Dogg. Suge Knight went on record claiming that he didn't know any of the crooked cops and that Reggie Wright Jr. knew them.
I never had a conversation with those dudes. Never met those dudes. They never worked for me. They knew Reggie Wright. They didn't know me.
Reggie Wright Jr. also had several Las Vegas police working for him to provide security in Las Vegas. In the TV show Suge Knight, American Dream, American Nightmare, Suge revealed how someone connected to Reggie Wright Jr. was responsible for cutting in front of their BMW, allowing for them to be blocked in.
When is middle lane? As we get right up to this point right here, at the last minute, one of the dudes who deal with Reg, something that he knows not to do, cuts in front of us. As he cuts in front of us, other cars come from things to the Cadillac. Cadillac starts to shoot.
He also claimed in a 2020 prison interview that Frank Alexander later revealed to him that he was told to box him in from behind to make sure there were no escape points. 24 years after the murder took place, Suge Knight has now come out to claim that crooked LAPD cops, including Rafael Perez, was involved in setting up the murder of Tupac in a bigger plot to take over Death Row Records. It's been speculated that it was achieved by intercepting police radios and using handheld radios to set up the assassination. These same cops have also been connected to the murder of Biggie Smalls, which occurred 6 months later. On March 9th, 1997, Biggie Smalls was assassinated as he and Sean Puff Daddy Combs left the 11th annual Soul Train Music Awards after party held at the Peterson Automotive Museum on Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles. Soon after, unrelated to the case, a man by the name of Kenneth Boagny was arrested for a robbery and afterwards testified during the Rampart scandal. He claimed to have been a cellmate of Rafael Perez. Kenneth Boagny claimed Rafael Perez told him on the night Biggie Smalls was killed, Rafael Perez was at the museum providing security for Death Row Records. He claimed he told him that David Mack was with him. Kenneth claimed on a television show Who Shot Biggie and Tupac that Rafael Perez told him shortly after Tupac was killed in September of 1996, David Mack was informed to get someone to do, quote, do what the boss wanted done. Now this boss could have meant the head of Death Row Records Suge Knight or David Mack's alleged employer Reggie Wright Jr. Kenneth Boagny also testified in court. He was an informant who helped exonerate 5 police officers in the past. His statement became known as the $1 Million Testimony. This was as a testimony was buried by the LAPD, and as a result, the judge in a $400 million wrongful death lawsuit by Biggie's mother fined the city of Los Angeles $1.1 million for suppressing the testimony. In his testimony, Kenneth claimed Rafael Perez told him Reggie Wright Jr. and David Kenner allegedly set up a hit on both Sean Puffy Combs and Christopher Biggie Smalls Wallace, with the bounty being $1 million. Allegedly, it was to go with paying the killer $250,000 up front and owing them $750,000 afterwards. David Kenner was a criminal defense attorney for death row artists. According to author Michael Carlin, based on Russell Paul's findings, David Kenner, with the help of dirty cops, helped Snoop Dogg get away with murder in 1996 by stealing evidence. Kenneth Boagny claimed Rafael Perez told him Reggie Wright Jr. was like David Mack's sidekick at the time of Biggie's murder. Reggie Wright Jr. denied ever knowing David Mack. Kenneth Boagny claimed that David Mack reached out to Amir Muhammad, who he went to school with, to carry out the hit, claiming he was already an assassin for the Nation of Islam.
Behind the Music has tracked down a witness who claims he saw Amir Muhammad outside the Peterson Museum the night of the murder.
Yeah, it's the same guy. The same guy that walked up on me. I don't know if he did the shooting, but this is the guy who walked up on me that night.
According to Kenneth's testimony, LAPD cop Kevin Gaines allegedly failed to intercept Puffy's car as it ran a red light in front, saving Puffy's life. This has been corroborated by Puffy's former bodyguard Gene Dill, as he was the person who told the driver to run the red light. Kenneth stated that Reggie Wright Jr. and David Kenner informed David Mack and Rafael Perez that they would not receive the $750,000 as the hit was for both Biggie and Puffy. On November 6, 1997, David Mack and 2 others robbed a Bank of America near the University of Southern California. David Mack used his girlfriend who worked at the bank to get him into the vault, where he robbed $722,000, which still remains unaccounted for. Kenneth claimed he used this money to pay Amir Muhammad, as Amir wasn't taking no for an answer. David Mack used 2 vacation days to take days off while working at the LAPD. These were on the days of the Biggie Smalls murder and the day of the bank robbery. David Mack was arrested a month later after his girlfriend told authorities it was him that robbed the bank with her help. When police searched David Mack's home, they found a black SS Chevy Impala matching the description of the shooter's vehicle in the Biggie Smalls murder. They also found bullets which matched the rare type used in the murder. These bullets were buried underneath the floorboards of his house. Phil Carson of the FBI was ready to make an arrest based on this information, but his superiors told him to back off. Russell Paul was also ready to make an arrest, however, his superiors at the LAPD told him to back down. On April 16, 2007, Biggie's relatives filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles, former LAPD officer Rafael Perez, and his partner and former officer Nino Durden. They were seeking unspecified general compensation and punitive monetary damages. The lawsuit states that Perez, Nino Durden, their partner former officer David Mack, and certain unknown persons were responsible for the death of Biggie Smalls. Due to Rafael Perez's connections to so many unsolved cases and acts of corruption, he has inspired many movie characters in Hollywood. Training Day is an American crime thriller film released on October 5, 2001. It stars Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke. Denzel Washington plays a character of Alonzo Harris, a Spanish-speaking LAPD narcotics officer who is looking to initiate Ethan Hawke's character Jake Hoyt into his division. Jake soon finds out that Alonzo is a dirty cop as he begins to involve him in crimes. The film also features Death Row co-owner and artist Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. After the film's release, Denzel Washington said he emulated the style of Rafael Perez to give authenticity to his portrayal of a corrupt LAPD cop. In the movie, the character's vehicle has a license plate of ORP 967. This is said to stand for Officer Rafael Perez, born 1967. The director of the film stated that the emergence of the Rampart scandal in the late 1990s catalyzed the completion of the film. Denzel Washington also grew a beard in order to emulate the appearance of Rafael Perez. In this video, we took a look into the real story behind Denzel Washington's character in the 2001 movie Training Day. It was based on Rafael Perez, a dirty LAPD cop who was a focal point of the Rampart scandal in the 1990s. As you saw, Rafael Perez has been connected by some to the unsolved murders of Tupac and Biggie. It's believed that both cases will forever remain unsolved, as if there were connections to the LAPD, the lawsuits made by the artists' estates could bankrupt the city of Los Angeles, as it would be